Hi, today we're going to change the water pump on a Mini 2007 model, this one. So it's the Mark II Mini. So some of the videos you've probably seen on YouTube suggest taking all the headlight off, all of this cross beam, pipes, blah blah blah, everything. However, the Haynes manual and other people have said you can get to the water pump via the wheel arch. So I've taken out the wheel arch liner, as you can see here. There is the liner, and it's basically held in place by a collection of little screw-on studs, a couple of hex bolts and places, some screws. It's pretty obvious. You go through and look at it. So here are the little plastic things, just screw out the middle, and then the whole little fastening mechanism comes out. So here, underneath it, we can get some visibility of where the water pump is. So what do we got under here? We have the crankshaft pulley, air conditioning compressor, alternator up there, and then very difficult to see actually. If I buzz over here, yeah. So here we have electrically controlled connection, in other words, between the crankshaft pulley and the water pump pulley, which is up there. So let's just zoom out a little bit, see where we are. There's the wheel underneath. Come up, just look through this gap here, and you can see that's the pulley, which is held on by three 10mm bolts, which you can get to via a spanner, like so. Now what we find is the pulley will rotate as soon as you try to undo the bolts. What you can do is get a flat bladed screwdriver, carefully insert it, and as you're undoing, that's enough basically to stop the water pump pulley rotating. So it's this sort of span that's useful, little flexy end and a ratchet type end to it, like so, 10mm. To remove the tension off the tensioner, you have this little strap that you pull out, and you'll see there's a little hook there, and the holes in the strap attached to the hook like so. See that there? It's just hooked over. Let's pull that off, and then on again. You see, and then that releases tension on this pulley that pushes onto the water pump pulley. So much more freely rotates. You have to do that in order to actually finally get the pulley off. But first we need to drain the coolant system. So here's the pipe, goes to the bottom of the radiator, is the output from the radiator feed. There's a little coupling here, so what we'll do is squeeze these two pipes and drain all the coolant out. So we squeeze our tensioner ring like that, move it along and release it, and then we can pull it off like so. So that's all three bolts quite easily removed from the pulley. The pulley itself has now just popped off quite loosely. So we get it off at that angle. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. So we have to sort of get it off around the back of the engine. And I think I can just leave it there, because that gives us then enough access to the water pump. So the most awkward bolt to get to is of course the one furthest away, right at the top, and this is how we get to it with a spanner like that. Just about get that to loop over the bolt right at the end. Really need to get two hands on it, get it in both sides of the spanner. But that is now undoing. The other ones, the other four, you can get with socket on it. That's all like 10mm sockets. That is now the water pump released. You see it's all loose, and I'll get this cable pushed out of the way. Hopefully we can manoeuvre it out of the way. So yeah, the only way it came out is at that sort of angle. You may feel it easier to remove the friction wheel apparatus, but I think it's just about got past that stage where it's jammed in. Maybe. Because it's now able to wiggle around this way, and I think we pull down the air conditioning pipe, wiggle it around. There is the water pump released. So it wasn't easy getting that water pump out, but it was possible to do so only by removing the inner wheel arch cover and just the water pump bolts. You see, we've left the friction wheel on there. Probably would have been better for getting the water pump out to remove that friction wheel, but getting to those 3 bolts up there for the friction wheel mechanism is also a little bit difficult. Probably not impossible, similar difficulty, so I'll leave it up to you which one you want to try. Make sure these surfaces are clean. You may have noticed when we were looking at the hole where the water pump goes, there was a funny little bit of rubber poking out, and just shows it's worthwhile checking the rest of the system, because after I got to the other end, pulled out this coolant pipe that basically connects to the hole where the water pump is. You can see this right bodgy repair has been done on it previously. Bits of silicone sealant, and the rubber O-ring that was on here actually was poking out and being chopped off by the water pump. It's obviously leaking, and you can see here the plastic has all cracked off as well. So needs a new pipe, and I believe the thermostat is stuck as well, is not responding because the coolant temperature is not modulated very well. This is the old one. Just got a new one from a local motor factor. It's a bit cheaper than going to BMW. This was about £70 or something. There's about 110 or 20 from BMW. So I'll do another video on removing the thermostat, because that's quite a common failure point. But let's get back to installing the water pump. So we need to install the water pump now. This is the gasket in place. To avoid it dropping out while we're manoeuvring the water pump into place, I apply a little bit of the red gasket sealant, like Hematite Red and others. That's a Carplan one. Just on the underneath of this seal. Let it dry for a little bit. Just helps a little bit with keeping the rubber O-ring in place. Probably also helps sealing it because it's quite a rough cast aluminium. So we need to now look at how the water pump came out and try and manoeuvre it back with the same method, and I think went in something like this. This is, I suspect, going to be a little bit tricky, so we need to try and manoeuvre it in place without knocking our O-ring out of position. So again, that's the position I think we need to get it in to get it past this friction wheel, and once it's in that sort of position, then should get past the last hurdle. And finally, that's it in position. Try and feel around the back, make sure the O-ring is still in its slot before you push it home, and then just check that it's that the water pump is sitting pretty flush with the block, which it seems to be there. So now we just got the somewhat difficult job of getting the bolts in and doing them up like we undid them, and I'll probably put some thread lock compound on them as well. Have a look in the video description for any links to products like this you might need, and also links for the water pump and so on eBay and the like. So that magnetic screwdriver attachment comes in handy again for inserting the bolts back into place like so. And finally, that's the pulley back into position. The only way to do it is really to rotate the pulley and do up each bolt on the bottom of the pulley, like that one half done up. And it's best to get one hand and one finger in from one side, another finger in from the other side, and use the 2 fingers to do up the bolts, and then use a spanner to do the final tightening. And this time, in order to do up the bolts, we have to jam the friction wheel on the other side, so you can wedge it in there, press it against the rubber, and actually the screwdriver can handily just sit underneath that bit of plastic, and that's good enough to tighten up the bolts with your spanner. So then the only thing's left is to release the friction wheel strap back again, pop that back into place, So I've played the system, seen my other video on changing the thermostat housing, about bleeding. It's basically a little screw, little crosshead screw right down that hole there. You open up with a flat bladed screwdriver, fill it up slowly. Takes a while for all the air to settle out. When you've got quite a lot in, run the engine, keep topping it up, and then go for a gentle drive, and just check the fluid levels okay, check you haven't got any leaks anywhere. When you stop, you'll hear the auxiliary water pump going. You might hear that as a little sort of whirring noise. It goes up for a few minutes, which should help with bleeding out the system as well. That's it. So it's all running fine, no water leaks, and that's how to change the water pump on your Mini. This is the N14 engine, Mini hatchback or Mini Clubman. This happens to be a 2006 model, but it's applicable to a lot of cars. Same engine is actually used in a lot of Peugeots and Citroens as well, as well as BMWs. Okay, thanks for watching. Good luck with yours. Bye.